Sports Podcast. I'm here with three very special guests of mine Mr. Chris Carter from the DMV, my good brother from another mother, another buddy, Terrell Robinson, guy who we had on the show before, another good friend of mine who also, even though he is a Michigan fan, LP, just to let you know. And I had to throw that
The
in there.
shade already.
Yeah, of course I have to throw some shade, and he's a Packers fan too. But
Mm.
there's no shade against the Packers. It's all good. And then we have LP, the legend himself, a frequent guest in the show. How are you guys doing today?
What's going on, bruh?
Yeah, man, this is gonna be good.
It's all good.
Yeah. And man, I was like, let me just get a crew together of some different folks to bash the Nets because this is arguably, I think, one of the biggest failures in NBA history. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about just like the Nets trade, what the hell they're going to do with Ben Simmons because I think his confidence is absolutely shot. We're going to talk Dallas Mavericks and the diva Kyrie Irving himself because I think he's a diva, and the injury-plagued Phoenix Suns because there's a lot on the Phoenix Suns to win a championship, and I don't think they're going to do it because they need more than Kevin Durant. And do we actually believe in those Denver McNuggets?
McNuggets.
Listen, I mean, I'm always usually representing Colorado, but I mean, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go with this, but but Terrell, let me toss it to you first, man. The Nets failure, like 16 games together played total, and now they have nobody. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where as an owner, as an organization, you have to make those trades. You have to try. So when you look at that collection of talent on paper, with arguably the greatest three scorers in the history of the game on one squad, it was like it should have worked. But then the reality is you have so many personalities there. You've got Harden who wanted out of Houston and did what he had to do to get out of there. Um, the ongoing saga with Kyrie and even KD has his, off the court issues at times with his Twitter fingers or whatever. But I will say KD always shows up when it's time to put in work on the court. My bigger issue with the Nets was when you collect that kind of talent, you need to have the right coaching behind it. And so when they decided to go with Steve Nash with zero experience coaching, that was pretty much like the start of like that downfall because how do you coach all-stars and veterans like that with someone who has no experience? They're not going to respect him. And so I think that was probably the biggest misstep by the organization. So now we're at the point where we have all these picks, and I don't really know what they're going to do moving forward. They either have to figure out whether they're going to try to develop their talent or go all in with trying to find all-stars again. And that's usually my issue with my Lakers. Like instead of developing, we're always trying to find the next superstar. But we'll stay on topic. So
yeah, no, it's all good, man. Hey, nothing wrong with veering off, man. Nothing veering off. But no, that coaching, I think, like we talked about, like even in the NFL, like how coaching and leadership is such a pivotal thing. And I think that you look at, okay, let's just put a bunch of talent together, LP. It's like, all right, we got Steve Nash as a coach, but can the man like X's and O's? He understands basketball, but in situational times, like what do you do with the bench, man? Talk to me, LP, then Chris.
And this is the thing for me, for real. Like everybody's putting it on the players and saying it's a big failure for the players, and I see it as a fundamental failure for leadership. Like I just don't get the fact that we can put this all on the players when you look back through NBA history, this almost never works. You can look at the '04 Lakers, you can look at the Heat, the first year they got together. Throughout history, building a super team and expecting them to win at once never works. And you would think that the Nets would understand this before they brought over Irving and before they brought over Harden, but it's like they said, forget it. We're going to play it like 2K and just put the best players with the best overall together and get us a ship. And it never works. That's the part that's kind of frustrating because this is all on ownership to me, 100%. When you have a team where the best three players play only 16 games together and they don't even get a chance to kind of like get together and do what they're supposed to do before you ship them all out, I mean, it's user error, in my opinion. And I mean, Durant's going to take the heat when he showed up pretty much every night and almost carried the squad to the finals the year that the Bucks took it all, and they were like one shot away from getting it all. And it's like, what do you do? It's like, I don't know. I feel like the players are going to bear too much of the burden for stuff that ownership should have taken care of a long time ago, and it's really messed up because it could have been a really special squad.
I mean, it could have been. You think about what if, in 2021, Chris, you would think about when they lost to the Bucks. If KD had maybe his foot maybe 1 inch behind the 3-point line, maybe things would have been different. Like, that's always one of the big what ifs. And you think if James Harden didn't get that injury, then Kyrie Irving, the diva himself, didn't do what the diva does. So we're going to call Kyrie Irving the diva for the rest of the episode, so all the other viewers know it. He is a diva, even though he's a dookie, but he only played like 9 games because what? He got injured. Chris, talk to me.
Well, honestly, I agree with both of my brothers. And they have some good points, but like my man Ben said, they put too much pressure on Kyrie and KD than any other 2 players in the league. Because people don't realize KD got drafted by OKC, left from OKC, went to Golden State, got 2 rings there, chop it up with Kyrie. Want to think about look, we can have our own damn team. So why don't you come to Brooklyn? Say less. Came to Brooklyn. You already knew they was going to be the state's favorite team. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew that. But it was a lot of chaos that this ship was going to sink quicker than we all think it was going to last. And then when they got harder, just like T said, you got three of the best, not even the 3 best scorers of this entire decade, but you got 3 of the best scorers of all time on one team. Yeah. You had everything in place. And then when the diva did his a temper tantrum, when Harden forced himself out of Brooklyn to play with a general and manager, and now KD is damn, I came here to literally deal with all of this BS. I should have just stayed myself and go to state.
Mm-hmm. Man, I tell you, man, I think just as far as legacy, I mean, we knew this team wasn't going to play any defense. They weren't going to. The only way they were going to win is by outscoring everyone. Ben, what's good, man? You on there?
Yeah, I'm here. I took off the camera because I'm driving, so it'll be kind of all weird. But
that's all good. Hop on, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. What? Ask me a question, I'll answer.
I'll give you a question. Yeah. I was just gonna say, with the Nets failure, I think Kevin Durant, what is his legacy? How does this impact his legacy now that he is in Phoenix? And say this just doesn't work out. I think it's championship or bust for them. We'll talk about the Suns more, but just for Kevin Durant, as far as his legacy, what are your thoughts?
So if he never wins another ring, his legacy will be the only time he won a ring was with Steph Curry. Fair or not, because we can mostly agree, I think, that Kevin Durant on those championship teams with the Warriors was the best player on those teams, but it doesn't change facts. If he never wins another championship, that means the only time he did was when he had Curry and Clay and all them. And he left that because he wanted his own team. He wanted to build. He wanted his own power. And part of his legacy will also be you chose to play with Kyrie over playing with Curry. Just because you and Kyrie were boys, you started your own thing in Brooklyn and you wanted to play with Kyrie. And part of the issue with the Nets, you guys have addressed a lot of it, definitely Steve Nash should have never been the coach. That was the first mistake that the Nets made. But part of the issue was KD always supported Kyrie. In everything that Kyrie did and Kyrie said, KD never, in any public or probably private, which we don't know private, but any public statement, he never criticized Kyrie and never said anything bad. Not even, you didn't have to say anything bad. He could have been as simple as, Kyrie, we need you on the court. He didn't say any of that ever because he doesn't like conflict and he doesn't like drama, and he was too loyal to Kyrie. I think because Kyrie trusts him and they are close friends, if KD did say something similar, I think it could have been different because Kyrie, I think, would have trusted Kevin Durant and said, all right, if he's saying I got to change, I got to change. But Kevin Durant never did that because he was so loyal, so supportive. He never criticized Kyrie at all. And that was part of the issue, along with obviously injuries and bad coaching. Injuries. You know, you guys have nailed it on the head. For me, I don't really think that Harden doesn't deserve any of the blame, to be honest, besides he's a selfish player and wants to, selfish human being, let's say, always wanted to go to the Sixers to reunite with Daryl Morey, and he asked out of Houston, he asked out of the Nets, but as far as to blame on Harden, I mean, they barely played together, the three of them. Meanwhile, Kyrie and KD were there, I think, 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And they only won, as Stephen A. pointed out yesterday, in 4.5 years, they won one playoff series. That is a massive failure.
I mean, it is. I mean, and LP, and I'll toss it to you, Terrell. Like, I mean, just, I just, who wins that week? And Ben, we talked about this in the past, like who won the trade? I really thought that the Nets had won that trade because they had those 2 first-round draft picks, right? So now, and I'll just toss it back to you guys, but LP, you go first. Like, now that we're looking back on that, who won that trade with James Harden and all those? Like, looking back on it,
for me, this is where the failure comes in with the Nets, because the Nets lost that trade as well as the trade for Durant. Like, they pretty much lost all of this. This is where the failure is. I mean, they have the picks spread out between 2023, 2025, 2027, and really the only thing they can do right now is try their best to either A, tank, or B, push all their picks to try to get as close to the number 1 pick, which would be Victor, as they possibly can. And that's probably not going to happen because it would be foolish enough to give that spot up. So for me, it's like you didn't get anything out of what you did to get Harden and Irving, my fault, the Diva, and Durant, my bad. And you have picks that are A, spread out, and B, they're not going to be high enough for you to get what you really need to fix the squad. So if I'm a Nets fan, like I'm canceling NBA League Pass because what's the point? I'm not about to watch my squad get tapped for like the next 4 years. And on top of that, it's like you're stuck in this weird place because you're a little bit too good this year to get where you want to be, but you're not good enough to get far in the playoffs. So it's like it's an epic front office failure. It's like, this is the way you don't do front office work. You hire the wrong coach. It was just crazy, man.
But I do like, in the Terrell, before I toss it to, I do like they got Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. I think those are two. I think those are 2 good young role players that I think Mikal Bridges, if he really develops, I really think he could be a really good stud in this league because he's one of the best 3-and-D up-and-coming wingers, I feel, in the league. But Terrell, what do you think of this trade overall? Who do you think wins it, like looking back on it? And then Chris.
I mean, obviously everybody but the Nets wins. I mean, it's kind of it's just one of those things. High risk, high reward. I mean, high risk, high risk, high reward. So you throw all that out there and you're hoping you're going to get a championship with these 3 guys. And so when that doesn't happen, you're kind of stuck. And the place they're at now, they have a lot of good pieces in terms of like role guys you could actually build a championship around if you had all stars. And right now they don't have all stars, so
Right.
they're just kind of stuck in limbo.
I mean, facts on that one. Chris, talk to me, buddy.
Well, since it's like a show, well, a joking show, can we say the Knicks are winners in this trade? Just hear me out.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Hear me out. The Knicks did want to trade because the Knicks got the city back. Make sense?
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just like all y'all say, Brooklyn won the trade hands down because you got back as Spencer, who is one of the best 6-man guards in the game. You kept Cam Thompson, who's from the 757 area. You kept him, and you got Bridges and Cam. The only issue is what you want to do with a 6'9" non-shooter. That's the biggest thing. If you can find a way to mix him and keep him in Brooklyn, you got something. But it's only up to him if he really wants to stay. But overall, if Brooklyn won the trade, but
I mean, no, it's facts, man. It's facts. I mean, the next thing, it is interesting, but I think no matter what, can we all agree that the New York is a Knicks town? No matter what, it's like the Yankees. The Yankees were always on New York,
absolutely.
no matter how much those New York Mets do it. I don't know. We'll see. But Ben, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't hear you
Go ahead.
throw the ball to me. But as far as the Ben Simmons trade, James Harden trade, I think that we could say that as of right now, the 76ers got the best of it. But for me personally, if they don't win a championship, whether it be this year or the next year, did they really, truly win it? Because they're in the same, if they don't win, they're in the same exact spot as they were before. With Embiid, you got a probably top 10 player in Embiid, maybe top 5. And you got Harden, who probably top, I don't know, off the top of my head, still probably top 20 player. And you still don't win, and didn't win anything with Ben Simmons and Embiid. Then did you really, truly win the trade? Because your team arguably got a little bit better, but you still didn't win. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at on that trade.
Yeah, the windows for the Sixers, it's either now or never, I feel, because I feel this is their best shot to win. I still think that Boston is maybe not necessarily the clear favorite over Milwaukee, but it's really down to Boston, Philly, or Milwaukee, I think, coming out the East. The Cavs are a cute, adorable little story, but they're the Cavs. I just don't trust them. But we'll see. They're adorable. They're adorable. They're just like, they're going to get a participation trophy from me. No disrespect, LP.
You're good, man. I mean,
I
think we talked about that way back when they got Donovan Mitchell. They secured themselves a spot in the conference semifinals.
Yes. It's a cute, adorable little. There you go, pal. There we go. But we're like I was saying in the
yes. Question real quick. And I want to throw this out there to y'all. If it's not Boston and Milwaukee or Philly, who do you think is a sleeper team that nobody's not talking about that can find a way to come out of the East?
I'll just go first in that one. I think it's clearly Cleveland because I think that Cleveland they needed another scorer like Donovan Mitchell because Darius Garland is a up and coming point guard. You have Jared Allen, you got Mobley, you got Karis LeVert, but their bench is really lacking in depth. But that starting five though, with the length and the talent, and the athleticism, I think could make some noise. But again, I just don't trust their cute, adorable little story.
I'm torn between behind the big three, either Cleveland or Chicago. I've always felt like Chicago, they have what it takes to win a 7-game series. Their problem is going to be getting enough wins to get high enough to be a factor. But when you put them in a 7-game series, I feel like they have the coaching, the defense, and just enough scoring power to beat any team in the East. They're going to need a lot of stuff to fall their way, like a lot of stuff. But I wouldn't want to play Chicago in a 7-game series. Like that would, if I'm a top seed, I don't want to see Chicago.
Okay. All right. I'll give you respect for that one. Chicago, I did not think about it, man. We'll see. Terrell.
Yeah, that's interesting. My only issue with Chicago is 3-point shooting. They definitely struggle with the 3-point shooting, but they do have the talent though with DeRozan and LaVine. I guess Cleveland is the only thing that really makes sense to me. I think this is where Donovan Mitchell really has to show his value and his worth, because this was the knock on him in Utah, that he couldn't get his team, toward the end goal. And so now with all this talent around him in Cleveland, this young talent, he should be able to, make a little noise. I'm not saying they're going to the finals, but they should be a hard out.
Okay. All right, we'll see. Ben, I know you got to go, but you got the floor, sir.
So the question is, after the top three, who do we think potentially could come out of the East?
Yes. Yeah. Who's the cute, adorable little story?
It's got to be the Cavs if it ain't the top three. Honestly, to me, if Boston and Milwaukee are healthy, yeah, I like Philly. They got a good squad, but to me, it's Milwaukee and Boston ahead of. They're on like a different tier as far as the East goes. I just don't. I mean, look at Harden in the playoffs. You really trust Harden in the playoffs? We've seen him in the playoffs come up short in big games, probably starting with that Game 6 at home when Kawhi Leonard was the best defender in the league and didn't play, and James Harden had like 12 points. That was probably the first playoff failure for Harden, but there's been many since then. So for me, Boston and Milwaukee are in a different tier. But if it's not those three, then it's got to be, to me, it's got to be Cleveland. But Boston and Milwaukee are playing in the conference finals if they're both healthy.
Yeah, that one's going to be. I tell you, Boston, Milwaukee is going to be a series to watch. That's for sure.
Fellas, I was just going to say, it's been a pleasure. Kick some ass the rest of the show. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, sir. Bye, Benjamin. Bye. So, as I was saying, we're going to do a quick pivot here. And LP, and then Chris, just hold on to that question just real quick. So, we talked about the Lakers, the 2004 Lakers before the show, and I'm just curious, what is one team that reminds you, or that is even as close to as a bigger of a failure in the NBA that has had that type of talent and just didn't get it done? LP.
That's a tough one. And we're saying comparable to the 2004 Lakers?
Yeah, it could be the Lakers. You could choose them. Just a team that had that put good talent together, had high expectations, and just absolutely crapped the bed.
But I will have to go with the Heat in their first year when they first got LeBron and Chris Bosh, and they had all the pieces around them and Dwayne Wade. And you could kind of see the beginnings of something horrible happening throughout the season. LeBron had kind of put on the I'm the villain mask and all that nonsense. And they came up against the Dallas Mavericks and just got ran over. You just saw Dirk Nowitzki and a cast of second and third stringers just basically run over them. And to see that and to see the failure, and I mean, I didn't think they would really come back from that. And then LeBron did a whole 180 and kind of turned it around. But I hadn't really seen failure like that since the Lakers. I mean, we all kind of penciled in, the whole not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. I think it really helped LeBron's legacy in the end because he was able to show that he could come back from something like that and kind of stay the course and get it done. But before that happened, I was like, man, like that was like supreme failure in my opinion.
And you just gave me some inspiration about the Heat. We're gonna talk about them just for a little bit here. I'm getting some inspiration here. Good one, Terrell.
Who goes? Miles?
Terrell.
Oh, Terrell.
I don't know. Now one doesn't come to mind to me. The last, like you said, the last one before the Miami one was probably those '04 Lakers. Just because of the collection of talent they had. I mean, they had aging stars with Peyton and Malone and all that, but there was no reason for them not to win the finals that year.
Okay. All right. Hey, I respect that. I'm surprised one team didn't come to mind. I'm just gonna see. Chris, you're the last one. There's a team that I'm thinking about, but Chris.
I got 1.5. I agree with LP. When LeBron first came to Miami, and when he really went from one of the nicest guys in the league to literally being that villain. And when you had an old Dirk, an old Jason Kidd,
JJ Barea.
JJ Barea, an old Pager. You cannot let a bunch of wet bags literally beat y'all in a 6-game series. That's one. Even though they got cheated, whatever the case may be, Sacramento Kings. Because they was the only team that could literally give all Lakers fits. And if it was for somebody who want to be gambling stuff like that, I think Sacramento would have their first ever NBA title.
That Kings team, it came down to 6 points in the game 7. I think still to this day that was one of the best NBA series that you could see. Big game Bob hitting that shot. Game 7, it was 112-106. I remember that score vividly. And I mean, you had Peja Stojakovic, you had Bobby Jackson coming off the bench, a young Mike Bibby, I mean, what's his face? Y'all know I'm talking about.
Chris Webber was at his peak.
Yeah.
Man. But that wasn't the team that I was thinking. I'm thinking about the Knicks with Patrick Ewing in the late 90s.
Really?
To never do it?
Really?
It's a disappointment.
I thought about them. Like I was kind of going in between, but when I kind of looked at the Knicks back then, it was kind of like you could see back then that they never really had what it took to be an Indiana team followed by a Chicago team like in a row. Like that was kind of too tough to ask for them because they never really had enough offense.
Okay, I respect that. So you guys are giving me inspiration. So we're going to kind of veer off from the agenda here a little bit. Which team was you got the Miami Heat team that won only 2 out of 4 championships, and then you got the Detroit Pistons that went to I think 7 straight Eastern Conference Finals and only 1 championship. Both those teams were pretty star-studded, man. I mean, you had a 1 through 5 with Detroit. I mean, with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton and all those other guys. It's too early in the morning to remember all these guys' names. Rasheed Wallace.
Prince.
And Tayshaun Prince, which is crazy. They try to justify having Tayshaun Prince for them not to draft Carmelo Anthony in 03, but whatever. I mean, that's the whole nother point in itself. Which team was worse? What team had the biggest failure as far as the Heat only winning 2 out of 4 championships, or Detroit only winning 1 championship and going to 7 straight Eastern Conference Finals? And Chris, I'll throw you the ball first.
I would say Detroit. only because you had a not an all-star starting five, but you had a rugged starting five. I think is when, and I guess there was a man came from Akron, just really just random off the floor, not once but twice. But also the Pistons also had to face a team a team down in San Antonio which had probably the biggest big three, and besides the big three from Boston. So
Boston.
even though wait, say Boston.
We don't need to talk about Boston.
You say forget all that.
Yeah,
forget all that. No, because like Detroit, I say in Detroit, they had to go through a one man team out of Cleveland. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
Okay, all right, that's real. Terrell?
I'm probably gonna go with the Miami squad just because of all the energy and the hype we had around that squad when LeBron decided to make that move, and so the expectations were so high with that kind of collection of talent. So then to go and lose to that Mavs squad, and then to follow it up with losing to that Spurs squad, although they were very good, they were still a lot of those guys were on the back end of their careers. So I just think if you have a player that you're going to put as the greatest of all time, you have to win at least one of those series. Hands down. You got to win one of those series. So.
And they only lost in 2013. If Ray Allen didn't hit that three-pointer, you remember that 10 years ago almost. Wow. It was 10 years ago. Yeah. They had the rope out, everything. They would get, man, Miami, I just don't, man, I really think if Carmelo Anthony was on that team instead of Chris Bosh, they would have won more. I don't know. That maybe that's just my saying. But LP, what you got?
I gotta say the Heat. I gotta agree with Terrell. I gotta say the Heat. For me, I'm doing this on the pod all the time. I'm kind of like comparing sports to like my classroom, right. And to me, this is just my opinion. The Pistons were like that BC student that overachieved, and the Heat, they were that A+ honor roll student who, for some reason, ended up with a B on the class project, and we're looking like how. So I feel like the Pistons, they did more with their talent than the Heat did. And that's really why I would say the Heat. I really don't consider either one a failure. I don't think anybody else does either. But if we have to quantify it in those terms, the Heat left a lot of meat on the bone. And I feel like they would say the same thing. Whereas the Pistons, they can kind of look and go like, we did the best we possibly could with what we had, and everybody can see that. So that's why I would say the Heat.
Hey, that's facts. That's facts. I mean, I don't know. And looking back on this, like Miami, they won 2 out of 4 championships, but we all talk about this, guys, all the time. Like, sports is not just one size fit all. Okay, they just won a championship, but you also have to look at the road as to which how they got there. I will never consider that Miami Heat team one of the most dominant, greatest teams of all time. When you start to, kind of peel the layers, where they've only won 2 out of 4 championships, and they really almost lost one of those championships in 2013, and then just got shellacked in 2014, which prompted LeBron to leave. So, I'm a LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron hater. Some people think I'm a LeBron hater, but I don't know. I think they kind of disappoint a little bit when you just kind of put when you kind of get past the weeds here. But, I wanted to keep this under 45 minutes, so let's just kind of get back to this topic here. Like, let's just talk about, like, the Dallas Mavericks and then the Phoenix Suns, and then we'll wrap up here. Just real quick, like, the Dallas Mavericks, LP, like, with this trade with Kyrie, he could become a free agent. What do we think of just, like, the second half outlook of the Mavericks? And then Terrell, then Chris.
I mean, for me, for the Mavericks, it'll come down to 2 things. Number one, can Kyrie and Luka get together and figure out who's going to be on ball and who's going to be off ball when it gets down to crunch time. That's going to be a key piece because, I mean, even if you put Kyrie in the corner and let Luka just do his thing or vice versa, it'll make them really tough to stop. But if they can figure out how to run a pick and roll with those two, or if they can figure out how to just maximize both of their talents at the same time, that'll be awesome. And then defense. Like you're not coming out of the West without playing some solid defense, and that might be the Achilles heel for this squad because I mean I don't put Luka and Irving in defense in the same bucket. Like I just don't do that. So if they can get the role players and everything to step up and play some very solid defense, and those two can be, I don't know, average, adequate, look like they want to touch the floor or something like that. If they can do that, then I feel like they'll be solid.
And can they stay healthy? Because Luka's already getting dinged up, Terrell. They're already getting dinged up, already have injuries. This is the year of the if they could stay healthy. Everyone. Like, it's all going to come down to attrition and health. And I can go on and on. But Terrell, man, talk to me.
That's the biggest thing, health. I think Luka's usage concerns me. So the Kyrie trade was good for that part. Like LP was saying, they have to figure out who's going to be the closer, who's going to be that guy at the end of the game, because we saw that the other night with them passing the ball back and forth to each other, late in the game, not getting a shot off. So kind of what he did in Brooklyn, he needs to have that conversation with Luka and say, you're the guy, you need to handle the ball, and I'm going to be off the ball. And then the other thing is, like you said, the role players, you have to see how consistent those guys are going to be with regards to like Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood, guys like that have to step up and be consistent on a nightly basis. And I'm not sure if they can do that playoff time enough for them to get to the finals or to win it all. So.
Facts. So, Chris, talk to me.
I agree with them. Unless you really want to blow it up, this is Luka's chance to get to the Western Conference Finals. The only thing that scares me is can they play defense for one? That's one. All three of y'all say the same thing. But number two, just like T said, your role players got to take that next step. Meaning is you cannot be between 12 and 15. You got to take it to like 15 or 18 or 20. I know that's saying a lot, but it's either it's going to work or it's going to be a whole nother in Brooklyn. It's a situation down in Dallas.
And and sorry guys, my camera's having technical difficulties here. Gotta love it. But I wanted to throw this question out with the Mavs, right? I look at the Mavs, and you got to remember, without Christian Wood and without Kyrie, they took it to Phoenix last season without those guys. And I feel that the way that the West is so up and down, and I just don't trust the Nuggets, those McNuggets. Like, do we think that they could make a surprise run to the Western Conference Finals again, being that they have a Christian Wood and being that they have a guy like Kyrie that literally can take over the game offensively, LP?
I think they definitely can. I mean, like everybody's saying, it's gonna come down to the role players, and I'm not really hung up on what they can produce offensively. I feel like Luka and Irving can carry them when they need to be carried. It's more of, can somebody like Christian Wood or Tim Hardaway Jr. find a defined role on the team? Maybe they're the defensive stopper. Maybe they're like, the glue guy. If they can figure that out, they'll be a really good team, and they'll be able to get to the conference finals. It'll be all about chemistry, which will be tough to build when Kyrie jumps in the middle. But if they can figure that out, I feel like they'll be dangerous and they can get to the Western Conference Finals. Like you said before, uh, they got pretty far without some of these pieces. So if they can just figure out who needs to do what, I think they'll be. I think they'll be tough to stop.
Okay, Chris, your thoughts, and then Terrell.
unless you don't see these three teams, unless you don't see Golden State, I hate to say it, Memphis, and Denver. As long as they don't see those one of those three teams in the first round, they got a chance to go to the West Conference Finals. But it all depends on their role players and how Jason Kidd is going to coach them.
Yeah, coaching is going to come down to it. But Terrell, talk to me about it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The way the standings are, the West is such a gauntlet right now. Like the Warriors, I think, are in ninth at 500, so you really don't want to see them first round. And then what's interesting, they played a lot better defense last season, the Mavs, and in this season they're kind of struggling with their defensive efficiency. So hopefully that's something they can tighten up. And like you guys said, Luka's shown that he can carry a team to that point. So when you add in a Kyrie who should be invested because he wants his money, they should be able to make a deep run.
Okay. All right. Let's see. And then we talk about those Phoenix Suns now with a Kevin Durant, and so I'm gonna throw two bones at you guys. And I'll throw it to you, LP, first. How can I phrase this? Because this is such a this trade is just so weird for me because you gave up so much for a guy who's aging and is still injured and hasn't played more than 60 games since 2019-2020 season. So A, do you do the trade if you're the new owner? And B, how far can this team really go considering Devin Booker already missed 21 games? Chris Paul is like an aging grandpa who's about to turn like 100. Yeah. Thoughts?
If you get a chance to get Kevin Durant, you do it. You do what you have to do it. Especially if you're a team like Phoenix. You made the NBA Finals a couple years ago. You feel like this is your window. You kind of sort of have to do it. That being said, giving up Bridges and Cameron Johnson, that's tough. That's really tough to do. So you almost have to go all in if you get KD. I feel like they're in a good spot because they have a scorer like Devin Booker that can help take the load off of Kevin Durant. That'll help out a lot. But I mean, it's pretty much ditto. Same thing for the Mavs. It goes for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they need their role players to step up. I think TJ Warren, I think getting him as an added piece to this trade, I think that's going to help them out a lot. I feel like he's an underrated player. He can get it done for these guys. He can be a solid number 3. He got to stay healthy, of course. But the West is going to be tough for them to navigate as well. I wouldn't want to see the Grizzlies if I'm them. Golden State would terrify me. But if they can figure out, same with the Mavs, who does what and when, I feel like KD can do more than enough to get them to the conference finals. But I feel like you can shake about 5 or 6 teams from the West into a big bag, pull out a name, and we can say the same thing about that team. It's going to be tough for Phoenix.
I still think people are not giving Golden State their respect. Like it's almost as if they don't care about the regular season. Once when they get things turned on, man, they're going to be something.
I mean, honestly, we did that last year. No. I mean, people remember Golden State at the beginning of the year, and then we just kind of forgot about them until the conference finals. I mean, this is going to be the same thing with Golden State every single year because, like you said, they don't care about the regular season. They're like, we can take a 7th or 6th seed and do what we need to do. They don't care about the regular season.
Terrell?
So yeah, the Phoenix trade, like LP said, I didn't like them giving up Cam for that, and Bridges. So for them, it's going to be a depth issue at times. And I guess the good thing about it is now you can split the workload between Booker and KD. Figuring out the style of play is going to be interesting. And I will say this is good for Chris Paul too, because a lot of their struggles, playoff times, or even in the finals, was because Chris was starting to have to carry a lot of the load in terms of ball handling, facilitating, and the way teams were starting to play them in terms of pressing him full court and making them work on the defensive end. That's a lot for a guy that's 37 now. So hopefully this will free up his workload. He'll be able to manage his minutes more, manage his workload more, and I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't have faith in them getting to the finals, but we'll see.
Hey, they're going to score a lot of points, and if I'm them, Chris, I try to be aggressive in the buyout market as soon as possible. I try to find some of those pieces. I don't know, maybe a Russell Westbrook. I don't even think that's going to happen, but I think a guy like a Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, Drew. Coming off the bench. I'm just throwing it out there.
Like, nah,
No, okay, that's very quick. All right, we'll see. All right, Chris, buddy, what you got?
It will all falls on CP3's health. That's pretty much it. You got scoring. You got some depth to the max. You got some depth, but you lost a lot. As long as CP is healthy and Katie and Devin do their thing, it's a make or break title. Because they have not had this type of heat since the 90s.
The Suns? I mean, we'll see, man.
I said, like talent-wise alone, this their best team they had since their early 90s Phoenix teams.
Yeah, we talking 92, 93 right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's going back, man. That's when I was a pup.
I mean, think about it. And thinking about SK, KD MVP, Sir Charles MVP. Correct?
Yeah, facts. I mean, they're disappointing. And I kind of just want to pivot before we get to the McNuggets to conclude here. These Lakers, how could I be remiss without talking about these Lakers? Terrell, just because I know how much you love these Lakers with these trades here. They got to win. There's a stat. They got to win. This is a couple of days ago. They got to win, like, their margin for error is like 8. They can't lose no more than 8 games to be able to make it to the play-in, right? They got to make a run. What do we think about these trades? It was energetic, but LeBron injured, missing 3 games. I don't think he was hurt, but whatever. I mean, what do we think about these Lakers, guys? I mean, they made some really good trades, but I just don't think it's enough. But Terrell, talk to me, buddy.
I mean, they've made good moves. We have more shooting now, which is a good thing. I like the D'Lo move. I like the Mo Bamba move as well. The biggest thing is I feel like it's too late though. And it's like all season we've been talking about the Lakers going to make a run. They're going to make a run at least to get into the play-in. We're halfway through the season. I don't know when that run's going to happen because all these guys have to have chemistry now. They have to play together, understand how each other plays, play off of each other to actually go on a winning streak to get to that. And I just don't know if that's going to happen at this point. And we know AD is going to get hurt again before the end of the season. So.
I just don't like them giving up Thomas Bryant. I really like Thomas Bryant as a backup. Thomas Bryant, I like Mo Bamba, but I don't think Mo Bamba really is going to move the needle for them. I think Thomas Bryant was really playing well. He's averaging like 13 and 6, Chris. I don't remember, but Chris, man, talk to me about these Lakers.
Let me run this off right after All-Star break.
You go ahead, sir. You go ahead.
Golden State, February the 23rd. Sunday, that following Sunday, Dallas, Memphis. That's to literally end February. If we're going to find a way to literally sneak or sniff or even taste some type of playing tournament, either 3-0, 2-1, to end February, It's literally going to be tough. But I like the trades. We finally got rid of that clog of point guards we had. So getting back D'Lo, who is a mature D'Lo now. Thank God for that. You got Beasley, who is a 3D cat that we just gotta have, and ain't nothing wrong with Mo Bamba. He got a song named after him. He's long, athletic, he can run, plus he can shoot threes. So I mean,
yeah. We'll see. And LP, like, you got to give Pelinka some credit to make these moves. It was almost as if when they had gotten Russell Westbrook and they didn't have a lot of cap space, and then he was able to finagle the cap and get a bunch of older players. But at one point, we're like, okay, they got Melo. They got, like, okay, maybe this can work. You got to give him credit. But if this doesn't work, man, I think he should get fired. But LP talking, what do you think about these Lakers and just the overall roster just situation?
I mean, like you said, Pelinka saw the issue. He took a little too long to fix it, but he did fix it. So you got to give him a lot of credit for that. I think the only reason we're saying the Lakers have a chance is because of LeBron, and that simply speaks to how great LeBron is. I think if you took 28 teams in the NBA and put them in this predicament, we would say, nope, you don't have a chance. But because we're talking about LeBron and the Lakers, they have a shot. This is how good LeBron is at age 37, 38. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. I think they're going to run out of time, but that's not going to be a reflection on how bad the second half of the season is for the Lakers. I feel like they're going to have a good second half, but they're just going to run out of time. And through really no fault of their own, other than they took too long to pull the trigger on some of these moves. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to have a good second half, get close to that 10 spot, but not quite get it. And I wouldn't consider it a success, but I wouldn't consider it like a big failure either. They just going to run out of time.
It's in the middle. It's in the
middle. Yeah. Yeah. You just wish Pelinka had just made more time, because I generally do think, though, like, as we talk about like chemistry, this is we just needed some shooting, man. Like, you just needed some, you needed some cats that could stretch that could really just stretch open the court. And AD says to himself, when he's healthy, he's a mother effer. Mm-hmm. Like, if he and LeBron stay healthy, they're two of the top 10 best players in the league. They're very hard to beat because those two alone are just so freaking good. It is ridiculous.
And honestly, that's my problem with Pelinka. I mean, we all know you get LeBron, you get a big man in the middle, and you get 3-and-D shooters around LeBron. We all know this. Pelinka, for some reason, decided to get Russell Westbrook, who is the exact opposite of what you want around LeBron. I mean, why would you do that to the squad? I mean, it just didn't make sense when they did it.
They had a chance to get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield.
Yeah. And DeRozan, I heard.
And DeRozan. They had a chance. If you had Buddy Hield and Miles Turner on this team, that is a top 6 NBA roster. I mean, you have Miles, like Terrell, like you have Miles Turner and you have AD in that front court. Just dangerous. You know what I mean?
Hey, LP. Yeah. What's crazy? I said, what's crazy? I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up Ed DeRozan. Guess who? And I think SK and Terrell, I think y'all probably don't remember. So, DeRozan was this close to coming back home. Guess who LeBron asked to what you want to do with the Westbrook trade? AD. AD was all in of getting Russ instead of getting DeRozan. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Didn't fit the play style at all.
No, man. It is unfortunate. But now that we just got 5 more minutes here and just quick high level, these Denver McNuggets. I used to love me some McNuggets. I think I'm gonna give me some McNuggets today. Actually, what time is it? I'm gonna do this today.
Oh,
I think I am. I mean, just because. I mean, no, I actually like the McNuggets. I mean, they got the two-time reigning MVP. But Terrell, talk to me, man. Do we believe in these Denver McNuggets?
Once again, on paper, I should believe in the Nuggets. Like, they have a lot of versatility with their roster. You've got Jokic, the reigning two-time MVP. I think with them, it's what we've been saying about most teams. It comes down to health. Like, Aaron Gordon's been playing amazing this year, by the way. But just health, like Murray coming off that injury, he's still trying to find his all-star form. And then MPJ, like I never know what's going on. One minute I see him on the court, next minute he's on the bench again. So I don't. He's a tough story too. But they have a lot of pieces. They should be able to get it done. Like, they can play in a variety of different ways. They have shooters. They have 3-and-D guys. So we'll see. I think they can get to the conference finals, but I don't have them getting to the finals for whatever reason. It's just something my gut tells me they're not going to get it done.
And and then LP, before I toss it to you, then Chris, I'm going to say that MPJ is pivotal to what they do. He's pivotal. Like, you know what you're going to get at a Joker. You know what you're going to get at Aaron Gordon. But to have him, Joker, and Aaron Gordon, that length, you're not going to outbody them. You're not going to – and they can all shoot, and they're all athletic. If he is healthy, LP, I'm telling you, man, the sky's the limit for this Nuggets team.
I mean, I agree 100% with that, but I just feel like the Nuggets are one of the best regular season teams ever. And then they get to the playoffs, and they find a way to screw it up. I mean, 3 years ago, they're in the conference finals. 2 years ago, they're in the semifinals. Last year, they're in the first round. I feel like there's like this slippery slope, and they're just continuously diving down the slope, even with Jokic playing at like a ridiculously awesome level. And until they show improvement in the playoffs, I'm just kind of like, because they do this pretty much every regular season. They ball out, they get themselves a solid seed, and then it's like, I don't know what happens.
No, I don't know.
So until they found a way to ball out in the conference finals or something like that, to me, it's like, it's just a rinse and repeat story with the Nuggets. And I do like McNuggets. I'm like a McNugget aficionado.
I'll let you know how these McNuggets are. Good. Chris, cap it off.
Cap it off. All right. Let me throw this out there at y'all. So Miami Heat are in the running to get Kevin Love. Watch out for the Heat. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't trust Denver as much as I want to. And the two biggest question marks is, can MPJ and Jamal Murray stay healthy? That's it. You got the pieces, you got the talent, you got the bench, and you got the coach.
I mean, that's facts. That's facts. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see. But as we're wrapping up here, Chris, it was 3 year at LP. I don't think you knew, but Chris 3 years ago was a participant in a very unique event in the All-Star game. Chris, 30 minutes, you got 1 minute, man. Just want to talk about just like reflecting back on that experience and just tell me exactly what you did, what event you did in the All-Star weekend 3 years ago.
I want to hear this.
You got to put me on the spot.
Yes, okay. I do. Absolutely. I told you.
It's all good. Now, I got chosen to play in a Special Olympics a basketball game out in Chicago. Out in Chicago 3 years ago, and before the whole world shut down. There was a brother like myself. Your boy hit the game-winning shot, and it was probably like one of the best experiences that you could ever imagine. Like everything was like paid for. The vibes was good, and the Joker was my head coach.
Oh man.
Yeah, Ken got pissed because he was trying to call the timeout, and but the refs didn't see him. So met Migos. Like if you never tasted All-Star Weekend, you got to go. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, let me get my ride ready for Indy next year, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh, word.
Yeah, Indy. It's going to be an Indy. I wanted to try to go this year in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is a beautiful city. But yeah, but Chris, just want to give you a shout out, man. 3 years ago, I remember you talking to us about that, man. I mean, you sent everyone the photos in the group me back then, man. It was an awesome experience whenever you get to do that. So, got to show you some love to the experience. Mr. LP, I know you know what's coming next, man. You want to give everyone, all the listeners, a shout out to your podcast and what you got going on in the sphere, and then Terrell putting you on the spot.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. A Cincy fan talking with LP. Podcast going strong. This is year 2.5. Basically, it's me talking about being a fan, talking about different experiences. We start sports and then we dip off into the whole life realm. So you never quite know what's coming, but it's always interesting to hear. Definitely check me out. You can hit me up at a Cincy fan talking, leave off the G. At Twitter. Be happy to talk to you.
All right, cheers, man. Thanks for coming aboard. And Terrell, any other projects you got working on, or are you good?
Not much. Working on another book. First one's out. I write poetry, so if you guys want to check out the book, it's called Visions of Reality. Check it out on Barnes and Noble or Amazon. You can catch me at Facebook, Terrell M. Robinson on Facebook.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to getting back to the DMV, man, and hitting up Park at 14th again like old times. We'll definitely have to do that up, guys. I will be back. So there's some exciting announcements going on in the Death Taxes and Sports world. Our 1-year anniversary show. Actually, 1 year is what's this today? Our 1-year anniversary is actually tomorrow on February 19th. I can't believe it's been 1 year. We're going to be doing episode 71 on Tuesday, February 21st. So we'll be very excited. It will be here on YouTube. It will be on our Facebook page. And we have also partnered with ASAP Sports Network, All Plays, All Sports. So it's also featuring on their platforms as well. So shout out to Jay and the rest of the team for them. So again, everyone, much love. LP, Terrell, Chris Carter, love all you guys. Thank you guys for coming on board. Definitely have to bring you guys on for some playoff talk. Cheers until next time. Deuces and Hail Von Miller.